That house up on the hill is really pretty. I like how it's nestled amongst the trees on top of the hill.
Just don't stumble when you come out that front door, huh?
Yeah,
you go down the hill.
Yeah, you'd go rolling. That would actually be really fun. When I was a kid, I used to love to roll down the hills, so I would have liked doing that.
Yeah, that'd definitely be fun.
Countryside's beautiful.
I love it in through here. I always like this ride whenever I get a chance to go this way.
Yeah.
So, are you hungry today?
Definitely. I'm very hungry.
Yeah, me too. Should we go out and grab something before we get started?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be a great idea. So then I'm not doing a video on an empty stomach. That never goes well.
Yeah. Where do you want to go?
Well, there's quite a few good places around. You know where we haven't been in a long time, though? Pals.
Yeah, I kind of like Pals. And like you say, we haven't gone there in a long time.
Yeah, we haven't been there in like a year and a half.
We should include that in part of the video too, because I think people will get a kick out of Pals.
I think you're right. And in fact, I should probably explain to everyone watching what the heck Pals is. Because if you're not from around this area, the Tri-Cities area of Eastern Tennessee, you'll have no clue what Pals is. So Pals is a local restaurant chain of only 30 restaurants, making it a pretty small chain, and the origin story of Pals is really pretty cool. But first of all, what is Pals? Well, I said half the story. It's a very small restaurant chain, but what makes it really unique is it's a drive-in only restaurant. Of course, when you think of a drive-in fast food restaurant, Sonic's the first one that comes to mind, but I think Pals is a little bit more homegrown and a little bit more unique. It stands out a bit more from the crowd, and you'll see why in a bit. But the origin story of Pals is really cool. In 1955, Fred Barger, whose nickname was Pal, went to a restaurant convention, and at that restaurant convention he met someone very famous, Ray Kroc, and that name may not be familiar to you either, but Ray Kroc was the man who took McDonald's at the time and transformed it into what we know it as today, a sit-down restaurant where you walk in, order your food, sit down, and you eat it there. Originally, McDonald's wasn't like that. It was a drive-in only restaurant. So in 1955, Fred Barger met Ray Kroc and was really inspired by what Ray Kroc was doing with McDonald's, the equipment and the style of restaurant he was making. And so in 1956, Fred Barger, or Pal, founded his own restaurant company, heavily modeling it after McDonald's, the type of restaurant that they used and the same sort of equipment that the original McDonald's in the 1950s would have had. And unlike McDonald's, Pal's never really evolved past the drive-in restaurant stage. It has remained that ever since, and although it may sound like it's going to be a knockoff, rip-off of McDonald's, it really isn't. There it is on the left. Look at that. It's actually really unique. So let's pull in and get some food. It's going to be really cool.
Okay, but what are we going to order? I think I'm going to have their big hamburger. What's that called again?
They've got a couple. I think maybe you're probably thinking of the Big Pal.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's actually quite good.
Yeah, sometimes they have specials on the sign, but only on the other side. This one they have a quote. The other side has the special.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think I ordered a special one time. The special is not always that special.
Yeah, they're not always the best.
Hey, here's a cool thing. You can look and order right from the sign right here.
Yep, here's the menu, and it's not the newfangled LED display. I don't know if they're controversial. I don't know. Some people like the old-fashioned signs that don't change all the time. So there you have it.
Let's whip around the other side here and pick up our order.
Totally. The building is tiny. It's like the footprint of Pal's, as far as the building is concerned, is really tiny. Then you've got the big parking lot, so the overall footprint's about as big as a normal restaurant, but the actual building for Pal's itself is pretty small. Pal's is also known as sudden service. Window, it was actually very fast. The name sudden service is accurate.
And that was taken from McDonald's too, wasn't it? In some way or capacity, I believe that was.
It might have been, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe that they used something similar, not the exact words, but close enough to let you realize that it was very similar. Hey, let's hop out and eat on the lawn, huh?
Yeah. So here we are out in front of Pal's. Like I said, it's a drive-through only restaurant, so there is actually no official place to sit, but you can sit on the beautiful lush grass here out in front. There's also a big old area on the other side of the store where you can go sit and eat. Years ago, I used to have a folding picnic table that folded in half into like a briefcase thing, and then you could unfold it and sit, and I wish I still had that today because that would be kind of cool. But nonetheless, we're sitting here on like the world's most lush, thick grass I've ever seen, and we're going to enjoy our food. Now, we didn't end up getting the special because if I'm being honest, I didn't think it sounded that great. It was some kind of cheese bacon thing. So instead we got the classic Big Pal, which I've seen ads for on the billboards here, and I thought it looks delicious and it smells delicious. We also got the Frenchy fry, which of course is just French fries, and we got 2 sweet teas because you gotta have some sweet tea. So let's enjoy the food. So this here is the Big Pal. As you can see, it is quite big, and you've got all your standard delicious hamburger ingredients on the inside: the patty, the onion, the tomato, some special sauce, and which by mayo, and some lettuce. Here's what it looks like when it's still in its wrapper. All right, and then over here you've got the Frenchy fries, which are actually a lot larger than I was expecting. We did get a large because my dad and I are going to split this, but it's actually a bit more than I had expected. And then you've got
I've already had my half.
Have you really?
Right here.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's your half, and then my half is this, which is so much. Like, this is how much I was expecting would be, and then you've already taken that much.
And these are good fries.
Yeah, they look amazing. And then we've got the sweet tea, which is just, you know, nothing too special to look at. I haven't had that yet. So this is
great though.
So this is what we get, and I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna enjoy it now. Also, look how lush this grass is. Like, oh, it's beautiful. It's
Tell them what it is. What kind of grass is that?
It's Kentucky bluegrass, and it's so great they named a whole musical genre after it, right? Bluegrass. And it's really lush. It's grass. I'm looking at it, I know it's not the most exciting thing to make a video about, but I just can't get over how lush it is. So
well,
anyway.
No, there are certain parts of the country that can't grow grass like this, no matter how much water you put in.
True. So I finished my food, or at least as much of it as I can eat. It was actually surprisingly filling here at Pal's, and for a fast food restaurant, which was very fast, the moment we pulled up to the window, they had our food ready. For a fast food restaurant, I find the food here, at least what I had today, to be actually really good. While Pal's was inspired by McDonald's, like I said earlier on in the video, the food today hasn't declined as much as McDonald's probably has. I imagine back in the 50s, McDonald's probably would have tasted a lot like this. Quality food that actually you didn't regret buying. Today, McDonald's is a different story, but Pal's has remained the same way. It's still nice food, at least the Big Pal is. I really enjoyed eating the Big Pal. I found the ingredients to be fresh and pretty high quality. The meat tasted nice, which is the biggest thing for me. Well, at least one of the biggest things. I really like good lettuce too, but good tasting meat is also very important, and I found that to be really nice. The sweet tea was great, the French fries were awesome, and the service was overall wonderful. So if you're in the Tri-Cities area, definitely drop by a Pal's. There's 30 locations in total, so you'll probably see one somewhere. And as you can see, they've got a really cool aesthetic too. I didn't really mention it, but the giant food that's on top of the Pal's building is their iconic appearance, and it's really cool. So that's been my little review and visit to Pal's. Now let's go check out another cool thing. thought we'd show you some behind the scenes here and refueling the Morgan. Its gas tank is kind of small, so you do have to fuel it up often, and there's a few things to know about refueling it. Since the engine has been blueprinted and gone through, it has a little bit higher compression than normal, and because it's an old car, I don't really want to be running ethanol in it. And as you can see, the premium gas has a higher octane rating than the regular. So those are the two important things with refueling this particular car. The higher octane rating and the no ethanol. Ethanol isn't really that great for cars themselves. Hoses can end up rotting and stuff like that, so we don't really want to be using that here. So we are going to select the premium gas, and then this is the important part. I've already got the gas tank cap open. Kind of cool thing is you push this button and it will pop open. But the important thing here is you don't want gas to drip on the paint. So you hold it upside down like this until you get over here, then you can lower it like that. In case anything drips out, then you can come in and you can start fueling the car. We finished refueling. I didn't bother to show that because, let's face it, that's the boring part. Let's remove the nozzle now. It's kind of the reverse process of putting it in. You're going to kind of flip it over, no drips, carry it over here, and then put it back on the mount as the usual procedure. And then to close this, we basically just push this button down. You can see you push that in and it hinges. And there you go. Pretty cool. I like it. Now, while this channel is, of course, dedicated to the Backroads of America, I did want to show one cool thing that isn't about the Backroads of America, and that is the Tri-Cities Airport. If you were to fly into the Tri-Cities area, you would certainly land at this airport, and it's a really cool airport for a couple of different reasons. It's kind of a small town airport. It's placed exactly in the center of the Tri-Cities area to be equidistant to all three of the Tri-Cities, which means it's kind of sort of in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of cool. And what that means is that it's never busy. Now, I've never been here on Christmas or some other busy holiday, so maybe on that one specific day of the year it's busy, but on any other day I've been here, it's as empty as you're seeing here. There's hardly any traffic. There's parking is never an issue, which we'll see in a little bit here. And but yet it's actually a sizable airport. You can see one of the planes there on the tarmac. It's actually a pretty large airport. It's large enough, in fact, that former presidents have landed here on a regular basis, which is pretty interesting. And it's also a really beautiful airport. I love the building. It's a nice feeling airport. It's not ridiculously busy like many large town and city airports tend to be. So although it's an airport and it doesn't have really anything to do with the Backroads of America, it retains that kind of, it's not really a country feel, I can't really say, but it does have a a smaller town appeal compared to a traditional large airport like you find in a major city. Now, up here is where some of the rental car things are. We've rented cars from this airport several times, and as you can see, here's where the rental cars themselves are stored. Looks like they've got quite a few of them out at the moment. But coming up here on the right is a parking lot where if you're parking for long term, you can put your own car, and as you can see, it's completely empty. Now we're back on the road again, and we're gonna go check out a really cool store. We've already seen Pal's, the local restaurant chain. Let's check out another, even smaller local chain that doesn't have anything to do with restaurants, but instead is one of my hobbies. I hope you enjoy it. So here I am outside of the Wicked Plant Shop in Bluntville. This is the shop that the mother of the family operates, and we're going to take a look at it today. Let me turn the camera on so you can see some of these beautiful plants. They have a wide array of all kinds of practically everything. You've got shrubs, you've got ground cover plants, you've got annuals, perennials, flowers, all kinds of beautiful things. So we're going to be talking about a few of them. I'm going to show you some of my personal favorites here. Like I said, I'm more into succulents, cacti, and carnivorous plants, but I will show you all kinds of other cool things too. I believe these are actually a type of sedum, perhaps. So these are a succulent plant, actually, right here, which is kind of neat. I think those are kind of sedum. They're not actually labeled that I can see. Yeah, no label, but I believe that's a sedum. We've got some ferns over here. Here's some sempervivums, also called hen and chicks. These are like super cold hardy. They can survive the snow, so they're really great for around here. And here's some more sedums. These are ground cover sedums. You've got sedum moonshine. You've got, I think this is dragon's blood. It's a different variety, blaze, but dragon's blood looks very similar. It's just a bit more red. Here's another sedum stone crop. This is sunsplash. That's really cute. We've got more. This is dragon's blood. So dragon's blood looks pretty similar to blaze. The blaze actually looks a bit more red than the dragon's blood, but I've seen pictures of dragon's blood. When it gets the right environment, it can become like a pure dark red. Here we've got some yellow ice plant, which is pretty cool. We've got white-eyed ice plant as well. Very neat. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Wow. I really like that. Here's some more sedum down here. This reminds me of sedum tetractinum, but it's not. Or it could be. It says sunsparkler lime zinger. I don't think they have a Latin name on it. This is nice, too. Stone crop sedums love to grow outdoors in these parts. They just absolutely go mad, which is why they have them here. We've got some more beautiful plants here. We've got some ferns, which are amazing. So as you can see, this is a really, really cool nursery. A lot of neat stuff. So like I said earlier, this is one of my hobbies, and anyone who knows me in real life knows that I really like collecting plants and doing things of that nature, but anyone who knows me online really doesn't. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to show you guys some of the sort of behind the scenes stuff and a little bit more of the personal things in my own life about my hobbies. And perhaps I'll show some of my other hobbies in the future, but for today I thought I would show off some cool plants. So here we have all of the flowers, which are really, really cool. They're absolutely beautiful. I'm not too much of an expert on flowers of these types. Like I said, I'm more into the succulents and cacti and things like that. But I have to say, these are gorgeous. I think these are begonias, but again, I'm not an expert on flowers like these. These down here are kind of cool. They're coleus, and they have all kinds of beautiful colors. Look at the bright, vibrant colors on the leaves. There's all kinds of different cultivars and varieties of coleus. I think these are more of them up here. You've got some over here. You've got a whole bunch more over here. I think these are all varieties of coleus. The variety is insane. And then you've got petunias up here of all kinds of different colors. You've got the deep purples. You've got the insanely, like, almost... They don't look the same on camera, but in real life, they almost glow in a very interesting way. You got geraniums in hanging baskets up here. Look at this. Last time I was here, this wasn't flowering. Oh, look how pretty that is. It's a lotus flower. Look at that. Wow. Oh, man. When I was here last, the lotus bed didn't have any blooms. It just had the leaves, which is beautiful. And then, of course, under here it's a pond, so you've got water underneath. I just can't get over how beautiful that is. Oh, man. That's incredible. Wow. I also like aquatic plants a lot. And I've been wanting to kind of get into a pond for some time, and I know now I'm definitely going to have to get some lotus for the pond. Now, speaking of ponds, this is something that Wicked Gardens inherited from the previous business that was here. Wicked Gardens hasn't done anything with it yet, but they're going to eventually turn this into a pond, like a proper pond, and get it all cleaned out with some, water and some fish and some probably lotuses and other aquatic plants. But I love how this is constructed. I love how simple this is. You've got these pavers that are stacked on top of each other, and then with pond liner inside, and it makes this giant circular pond. Of course, it's a little mucky right now, but I just love the construction of that. I think it's absolutely awesome. So as you can see, this is a really cool place. It's just so nice, so cool. And it's really neat to me that it's family run, and that the mother runs one shop and that the daughter runs another shop that we're going to visit today too. They have a lot of the same things here, but the mother shop is a little bit larger, and there's a slightly wider selection of things at the shop. So I thought I would show this one first. The other shop, though, is also really cool, and the other one has more of a little specialty on carnivorous plants. So we're gonna go inside now and check it out. Hi. The inside here is lovely. We've got some plants in the windowsill. And then we can pan around here. They have an area back over here where they do seminars and meetings and stuff like that, little classes on caring for plants. Got a split leaf philodendron here. And they've got some jars and things to make terrariums with. You've got some air plants too. Air plants are kind of neat. I've never really gotten into them because they're always rather expensive for what they are, but they're really cool because they're plants that don't actually have roots. They're epiphytic, so they grow in the wild on trees, sometimes on the ground, and these plants are real and they are alive. You just put them, mount them on anything, and to water them you spray them down with a bottle, like a misting bottle, because they actually don't get their water from their roots. They get their water through their leaves, through condensation on the leaves. So they're a little, I wouldn't say they're tricky, but they're a little different. They're a little different to care for than your traditional plant, and they often are a little bit expensive for what you get, but they grow super, super slowly, which is why they're expensive. They're very, very cool. I like this little garden awning thing they've got. There's the little seminar area. Got some Swiss cheese plant. A lot of house plants in the indoor section, which of course makes sense. You've got a little farmhouse area. You've got some pots and some more split leaf philodendrons and other cool stuff. Here's some snake plants. These are a succulent that are practically impossible to kill. There's lots of different varieties of them. This is a more common variety of Sansevieria. But last time I was here, they had some more oddball Sansevierias over here. It looks like they may have moved them. But last time I was here, they had some Sansevierias right over here that I had never seen before. I'm trying to spot them right now, and maybe they all sold. I was really thinking about getting one because they were super cool. Here's some euphorbias sitting on the counter. Here are the Sansevierias I was talking about. Now, these aren't... I think these are the ones. So these are Sansevieria francisci, snake plant. So these are related to the snake plant that we can see over here. They're in the same family. They're closely related, same group of thing. But the ones you just saw are totally different than the more common variety. Over here, ooh, I like this. Over here, we have what look like at a distance. Yeah, these are some Haworthia. Now, Haworthia are a low-light succulent that love to be in an environment just like this, a very low-light area. They can tolerate higher light and higher heat areas, but they prefer to be, from my experience and from from things I've seen online, they prefer to be in lower light conditions. And what's really cool is the tips of the leaves are actually translucent. They're window leaves, because in the wild, they grow kind of buried in the sand and in the soil, and only the tips of the leaves really get exposed to the light. So while they can totally grow like this, in the wild, the tips of the leaves are really the only thing you see, and then light can actually travel inside the leaf, and the plant can photosynthesize better that way. It's really, really cool. They're also kind of like sansevierias. They grow well inside and are difficult to kill. We have more haworthias over here. I think this is Haworthia cooperi, but there's a lot of different similar varieties that look all kind of the same. Last time I was here, I specifically was looking for Haworthias, and they had none of these. So I am really happy to see that they have a great selection of little Haworthias here. Here's some more. The other cool thing is that most varieties of Haworthia, I think this is Tessellata, most of them stay pretty small, too. There are big varieties, but those are usually pretty specialty. Here's more types of Sansevieria. We've got some little dwarf varieties here, which are awesome. Here's more. Of course, you can't have a indoor houseplant section without having pothos, the classic. Here's Mother of Thousands, I think. There's two Kalanchoes that are similar. There's Mother of Thousands and Mother of Millions, and I think that's Mother of Thousands. This is a little potting area where they do, I think it's kind of like a behind-the-scenes thing. You can pot plants. Ooh, cacti. Looky. This is, I think, where the employees will pot up plants and stuff like that. So you've got all kinds of little scraps here of, looks like sedum and all kinds of stuff. And you've got more things in the back, which is pretty cool. Now, out this back door, and this looks like an area you're not supposed to be in, but you actually are allowed to be in here, because this door is how you get, well, one way to get out here. And last time I was here, the employee just said, go through the back door and get out to the greenhouse. Because the greenhouse is where a lot of the larger succulents and other things are stored, as well as the carnivorous plants. Now, this here is a little pond that I think is also work in progress. But they have a pond. Let's take a look at the lily pad flowers. Beautiful. There's no life as far as animals in here, no fish or anything. But then over here we've got another pond, and here are where some of the carnivorous plants are. So these are North American pitcher plants. They're Sarracenia. I don't know the exact species of them, but they're really cool because they're actually native to roughly this area. West Virginia, I think, is where a lot of these carnivorous plants are located. And so what happens with these is an insect will be attracted to the sweet nectar that's on the underside of the leaf and along the rim. And these downward-facing hairs that hopefully you can see will prevent the insect from climbing back out. And it'll slip further and further down until it gets stuck inside of the plant, and the plant will slowly digest it over time. It's kind of brutal, but it's how nature works, and it's really, really interesting. These plants are actually insanely easy to take care of in the right environments, because basically you do what they're doing. You soak them in water, in the right soil, and the right water, and they just grow. That's all you do. You just put them there and make sure they have access to water at all times. Here's the greenhouse where we have more carnivorous plants. We have some Nepenthes. These are pitcher plants from South America. And again, I wish they had these last time I was here. I can't really buy anything today because I can't really put, plants that have dirt and stuff in the Morgan, but I might come back here and get a couple of these because this is a really nice Nepenthes. I'm actually pretty new to Nepenthes, so I'm not sure what species this is, but last time I was here, they didn't have any that had really nice traps on them. They were mostly sold out. These are Venus flytraps, probably the most famous carnivorous plant of all. This is a particular variety called Dente. And it's called Dente because the little ridges on top of the traps kind of look like teeth. They also have a red variety over here. And I don't know the name of this, but this is a more dark variety, kind of like Red Dragon or something along those lines. It's very cool. Again, last time I was here, they had almost none of these, and a lot of these look really healthy, so that's awesome. Here we have some more baby Sarracenias, which is kind of cool. They're absolutely tiny. I've got one that's a little bigger than this. I bought it last time I was here. I think these are aeoniums. They're a type of succulent. And then behind me, we have all kinds of more succulents. You've got some Crassula ovata. You've got some echeverias. You've got, this is a really cool looking echeveria. Is this Moani? No, Purpusorum. Really cool. That's Moani. They're kind of similar. You've got little cute arrangements here with some sedums. Again, as you can see, I'm just a kind of a huge nerd when it comes to these things, so I just love looking at them, and I could spend an hour-long video about just these. Look how massive this Sempervivum is. I've never seen one this big. And look at all the chicks. They call these hen and chicks because you've got the mother hen with all of her little chicks. It's a really cute name and a really cool plant. We've got some sedum, not sedum, Crassula ovata, Gollum. There's a few different names for these long, monstrose versions of it. You've got Gollum, you've got Ladyfinger, you've got Hobbit, and they're all slightly different, but pretty much the same thing. This is actually the same as this plant, just with different shaped leaves, which is kind of cool. This, I think, is a euphorbia. Euphorbia are... actually, I don't think it is euphorbia. I'm wrong. But euphorbia... If we find one, there's probably one in here somewhere. Yeah, there's some behind me. Euphorbia are related to... They're in the succulent family, but they're not actually cacti. If we look over here, you can see that's a euphorbia, that's a euphorbia, and that's a euphorbia. The one I'm pointing to right now is a euphorbia trigona. We'll take a look at that in a bit. And they look a lot like cacti, but they're not actually cacti. We've got some really cool aloe, tiger tooth aloe, some nice, big, happy, healthy jades. You've got some aloe vera here in the middle. Look at this agave. It's sold. Look how massive it is. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, agaves are kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of an acquired taste. I think it's beautiful, but they are wickedly sharp, which is fitting for the Wicked Plant Shop. But they're wickedly sharp, which means not everyone loves them. And especially because some varieties look like this, which are arguably a little bit less beautiful. That's just how they grow. That's a blue agave, I think. Not an expert on agaves. Over here we have some more cacti. We've got a whole bunch of little peanut cacti and prickly pears and such things like that. These are the euphorbias I was talking about. We can get a better look at them. Let's see, what is this one? Is this one labeled? No. But these are Euphorbia trigona, also called the African milk tree. They're a very common type of euphorbia. There's red varieties, and this is kind of a cross between the natural green and the red. And they kind of look like cacti, especially this one. It looks a lot like a cactus, but there's a few main differences between euphorbias and cacti, which I won't get into, but they are not actually cacti, although they are succulents. Here are pickle plants. I think these are in the Delosperma family. I forget the name, though. They're really cool. Now then, I believe at this rope is employees only, so nothing in this area is for sale. But we'll just take a quick look at things back here. This is the largest ponytail palm as far as the bulb of it that I've ever seen. You've also got a random cactus sitting there. Look how massive its caudex is. I think that's the name for the big succulent stem. It's a caudex. More aloe vera. We've got some beautiful, beautiful echeverias. Yeah, how many heads is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 heads. That's awesome. Some sansevierias, some aloes that are beautifully sun-stressed. Very cool. Now, again, none of this area is for sale, but I thought I'd show you it because it's really, really pretty. All the cool stuff, to me, is out in the greenhouse. You've got a massive Euphorbia pencil plant. There's two varieties of this. There's pencil plant, and then there's fire sticks. And I'm not actually sure which one this is. Considering it's not very yellow or orange, it's probably the pencil plant, but it also could be fire sticks. It does have some orange on it. One difference between euphorbias, here's definitely fire sticks. One difference between euphorbias and other cacti is that euphorbias have this milk in them. That's why these are called the African milk tree. And if the plant breaks, that milk will ooze out. And if you eat it, it's not exactly healthy for you. So don't eat the milk. Here's more Haworthias. I have one of these at home. Mine's a little more stout. So that is most everything in the greenhouse here at Wicked Gardens. It's probably my favorite section of the shop. You've got the carnivorous plants. I still want that Nepenthes. So you got the carnivorous plants, you got all the succulents and the cacti, and it's just amazing. It's absolutely, absolutely awesome. High quality plants and good prices on a lot of the things. Then we can walk out here and we can see some of the other things. This is where I started off the video over there. I showed you some of the ferns and the stone crops and sedums they had. Now this is where things kind of get a little bit vague. You've got an employees only sign here, and then this part kind of looks like it's an employees only section. I'm not sure it is or not, but you've got a lot of plants, outdoor plants here. Look at the massive flowers on this thing. Look how huge these flowers are. It's my hand for scale. Look how big that is. I want that. That's beautiful. Looks like they're doing some cleanup here for the yard, making it oh so pretty. Eventually it will be. And then you've got all kinds of shrubs and outdoor type of plants out here. And then this is where we kind of started off the video with the ferns and the stone crops and the sedums and stuff. So that has been a tour of one location of Wicked Plant Shop, and then we're going to be taking a look here at the second location very soon. They have a lot of the same sort of things, but they have more of a kind of a specialty on carnivorous plants. This place, when I was here last time, had less carnivorous plants than they do now, so if that's the case, we're probably going to see a lot of them at the next location, so I'm super excited. Thanks to Wicked Gardens for letting me just walk around and film. It's pretty awesome, and let's head on. Here we are at Wicked Plant Shop number 2. This one is in Kingsport, Tennessee, and it is owned by the daughter, or at least often run by the daughter of the shop. Now, funnily enough, both the daughter and the mother were actually at the first shop we went to. I probably should have put them on video and done an interview or something. I think they might have liked that. They run on Instagram and they put themselves on there, so they probably wouldn't have minded being in this video. Maybe I'll do more interviews and stuff in the future if you guys think that's cool. If I visit some cool small town shop and the owner happens to be there, we can talk with them a little bit. But here we are at the second plant shop, so I think we're going to take a look here and see some of the beautiful things that they have here. Now, as I said, a lot of the stock is kind of similar between the two, but there are differences in the type of things that we have at both shops. So you can see we've got some marigolds and begonias. I believe that's what those are, and you've got some coleuses over there, a lot like we had at the first shop. But we've also got a kind of a different balance of plants at this shop too, which is what we'll be taking a look at soon in the video. Just wanted to show off some of these really beautiful flowers. And what's really cool about a lot of garden shops to me as a whole, and especially this one, you got butterflies and bees and all kinds of beautiful wildlife enjoying all of the bountiful flowers. Here we've got some marigolds that are covered in butterflies. Really, really pretty. So you've kind of got a little different mix of varieties of coleus. There's some butterfly bush, and the butterflies absolutely love them. Now this is something that's kind of neat about this shop that the other one didn't quite have. Well, we did have a kind of a bog garden like this, but this one also has, last time I was here they had some Venus flytraps in here, but now they don't, perhaps because of the fountain. But you've got some more Sarracenias and you've got the cool little fountain. So there's some more Sarracenias. Now another thing that's really cool, these arrangements aren't for sale, but these are owned by the daughter. She's really into carnivorous plants, and so you have these really cool little bog gardens. These are more Sarracenias, so eventually some varieties can get huge like this, and there's a fly there. If he, maybe we'll watch this, see if he goes in. So that fly is enjoying the tasty nectar on the plant. And if he's unlucky, he'll end up falling in there. But looks like he's getting pretty lucky right now. These are Sarracenia flowers, which is really interesting. They do bloom. Here's more Sarracenias. And then down here we've got some Venus flytraps too. And there's another smaller garden here. This one looks like it's got some sundews. Sundews are another really cool carnivorous plant. They have sticky leaves. Hopefully you can see that. These are really tiny. And they have sticky leaves. And what happens is when a bug lands on the sticky leaves, the leaf sometimes will curl over onto the bug and slowly digest it over time. That fly isn't there anymore. He either fell in or flew away. So sundews are another really cool. My understanding is that some of the varieties of the plants in here are actually pretty rare, which is why they're not for sale. But right behind me over here is the greenhouse, which is where we're going to find more carnivorous plants and some really fantastic succulents. And since that's my thing, let's head in here and check this out. So you're greeted immediately with some really cool arrangements. You've got some little small succulents down here. Probably one of my favorites here is going to be these big old aloes. These are aloe vera, I believe. Or Aloe barbadensis, the other name for them. So those are really cool. And then immediately right up here, we've got more succulents. Here's more Euphorbia trigona. And then right to the right here are some carnivorous plants, just like last time. So we've got the same red variety of Venus flytrap. We've got the dente variety. And then up here we have the tropical pitcher plant Nepenthes. So we've got a few more of them here in a little hanging basket. Here's some more Sarracenias. More Nepenthes. And then down here on the ground, you've got some spilled jelly bean sedum. That's what that's called. And it's spilled in the ground, and it's just decided, hey, you know what? I like it down here. I'm going to grow here. That's the magic of succulents. You can take, for a lot of succulents, oh, look at the cacti flowers, beautiful. For a lot of succulents, you can either cut the stems off, you can cut leaves off, and put them in the ground or put them on the ground, and they'll actually end up growing into an entire new plant over time. It's very cool. Some cacti. These here are, I believe, these are mangaves. They're a hybrid of agave and something else, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't run into those very often, so I don't really know a lot about them, but I have seen them every now and then. Look at this massive echeveria. Here's my hand for scale. It's huge. Absolutely massive. I think that's an Echeveria agavoides, but there's a few varieties that look kind of similar, so. Then down here we've got a really cool little succulent arrangement featuring some sedum stone crop. You've got some sempervivum hen and chicks, and down at this end you've got more sedum and hen and chicks. Now this thing about sempervivum is that while the Latin name means live forever, they actually don't live forever. They're called that because, like I mentioned earlier, they're intensely hardy. They're insanely hardy. They can live through inches of snow and come out just fine most of the time. And then because of how often they propagate, they spread pretty quickly in the right environment. However, the mother plant, or the hen, this one has no chicks, but they are monocarpic, which means the plant itself, the new growth point, which is where the new leaves come out, when it comes time to bloom, which this one's going to, the new growth point turns into the bloom stalk. And then once the plant is done blooming, this mother plant is going to die. And in this case, that will mean, I think, because I don't see any chicks here, that will mean that this entire plant is going to die. However, in this case, if this plant were to bloom, because it's got all these little runners and offshoots of little chicks here, those chicks are going to continue to survive if they've rooted properly once the mother plant blooms. And oftentimes, if they're well established, right before they bloom, they pump out a bunch of chicks. So oftentimes they will continue to live forever. Anyway, just this one plant won't. So there's your daily dose of plant knowledge. Here we have more pickle plant. We've got more Crassula ovata, jade plant. Looks like we've got a slightly different variety of it here. Ripple jade, maybe? There's some cool cacti. That one's been around for a while. You can tell that the plant has gone through different periods of being in different environments and growing at different speeds because of how the stalk is kind of narrow here, and then it becomes wider here, and it just kind of, that's how a lot of these columnar, tall stem cacti like to grow. As the weather and environment they're in changes, their rate of growth speeds up and slows down, and therefore they look different. These are really cool. These are tiger's jaw plants. They get a nice little yellow flower on them in the fall. We can also see here, these are mother of millions. Kalanchoe, mother of millions. Kind of like the mother of thousands we saw earlier today. We've got more of them over here. And so each of those little tiny nodules on the end of each leaf is actually a baby plant. And so if that leaf falls off or those baby plants fall off, they will, surprise, surprise, become a new plant, which is really cool. Here's dunce cap, which is an adorable little plant. And kind of like echeverias and sempervivums and a lot of other rosette succulents, they spread by little runners which have a tiny baby on the end. So if they were in a larger area, those little babies would eventually touch the ground, send out roots, and start up a new plant. This is part of why I love succulents, because of how they grow and how they, process. And here you see baby making in process. Have fun looking, but don't touch. Plants on shelf are either mother plants or are not big enough yet for sale. So if we take a look here, you've got a bunch of little propagations of some sort of perhaps echeveria. If we look down here, we've got some more propagations of all kinds of stuff. This is actually a plant, which is kind of cool. You've got some string of turtles here that they're propagating. String of turtles are kind of tricky to grow. Here we've got some cacti. These are prickly pear cactuses. They're pretty common. What you do with these is you take the pad off and you just stick it in the ground. And they look like they're doing nothing and they look dead, but actually they're very much alive, and they're actually sending out roots underground, and when their growing season comes, they will put out one new pad. Sometimes two, but usually one. Here's another one here. Very cool. You've got some, I think these are pothos down here, and more pothos up here. This looks like golden pothos. Here's some aloes. It's very hot and very humid in this greenhouse. So as much as I love it in here and how much the plants are beautiful, I actually kind of want to get out of here because it's really hot. This is one of my favorite aloe varieties. It's called Christmas Carol aloe, and there's some variants in these this cultivar. Some of them have more red. If you grow them in intense light and not very much water, they get fully red throughout the whole plant, and they're absolutely gorgeous. But even when they're a little bit less stressed, like right now, they're growing pretty happy. They've got the red edges to the leaves, and they're absolutely beautiful. There's quite a few aloe hybrids and varieties that are kind of similar with different names, so perhaps you may not know it as Christmas Carol, but that's the name I know it as. Aloe swordfish is really similar, and there's a few other names of cultivars that look very similar, but I'm pretty sure that is Christmas Carol. Now this is a cute little one. This is a, if I can get it out here, see if I can, yeah. This is a peperomia. They call this red taco. I forget what the Latin name is of it, but they call it a red taco because the leaves are kind of taco shaped and they're red on the outside, kind of like Haworthia. This is actually sort of a windowsill plant, or windowsill. It's a window-leaved plant, so the top green portion of the leaves is actually ever so slightly translucent. Unlike Haworthias, they don't really grow like underground or whatever, but they're ever so slightly translucent, which I think is really, really cool. Can just drop that guy back in his little hole. We can jump over this chair, continue on. Lots of really cool little rosette succulents. Here's string of pearls. Also, I like to, whenever I see them, I just think they're called string of peas because they look like, well, peas on a string. This looks like a baby ponytail palm, perhaps. That's, wow, that's a long leaf, dang. That's cool. Got some hanging gardens. Here is a sempervivum that's a little bit more into bloom. And here we've got some sedum that's also blooming. Sedum, at least these varieties of stonecrop and stuff, are also kind of monocarpic. You can see that the new growth, this is where like the new growth bud would be, but then as it grows, if it decides to bloom, which these are past bloom, the new growth bud will just kind of branch out, turn into a a flower, and then that will stop growing. But it won't really die. It'll often send out offshoots on the side, and it'll really keep growing. But it's kind of the same idea as a monocarpic plant. Here's another Echeveria agavoides. There's also really cool cultivars of that have lots of red and stuff on them, but they don't have any of those here. I just want to look at these cactus flowers again because they're so vibrant. They look like a Echinopsis flower to me. Back to the carnivorous plants again, just taking one more look. And then on the other side here, we have more cacti and more succulents. We've got all kinds of cool little arrangements here. We've got a bunch of ferns too, a lot of varieties of fern. Up top we've got some Thanksgiving cacti and Christmas cactus. They're often marketed as Christmas cactus, and really the care for them is all about the same. But Thanksgiving cacti have the pointy edges to the leaves. If there's one down here I could actually show you. But Thanksgiving cacti have the pointy edges to the leaves, whereas Christmas and Easter cacti have round, scalloped edges to the leaves. And the real only way to tell the difference between them is during what time of the season they grow and the structure of their flowers. They're all basically the same, but they're kind of not the same. They're a little different. Here's a closer up view of that really cool column cactus. There's a friendly wasp or bee. Actually, it's a fly hanging out. So that has been the little tour of the greenhouse area here of the garden. Here we've got a lovely jade plant. I just looked at this section a second ago, but jade is one of the most common succulents in the hobby, and it's one of my favorites. Here we've got a cool agave. What else is in here? What else haven't I shown? We've got a little pile of things down here. Probably not for sale, but really beautiful. And that is the greenhouse of Wicked Gardens. So now we can kind of move on and check out some of the other stuff we have outside. There's also an indoor section of the garden as well. We've got philodendron here. Wait, no. That's not... Wait. Rhododendron. That's what I meant. I meant rhododendron, not philodendron. My bad. This is obviously totally different. Here we've got some more outdoor succulents. We've got some ice plant and some more sempervivums. There's a variety of sempervivum called Gold Nugget, and it's literally orange, and I want it, but they don't have any. I don't know if they do. I might be able to order them. Here's more sedum, lemon ball. So here's the inside area of the Wicked Plant Shop. I keep calling it Wicked Gardens, so forgive me, but you know what I mean. Here's the inside area. We've got a lot of windowsill plants. I love these little string lights. They're really cute. We've got some more cool windowsill plants. Got the little desk area. This is a really neat plant. I know what it is. They call it the resurrection plant, and it grows in like the deserts of the Middle East, I think. And what happens is, because it grows in the desert, during the rainy season, it will become alive, basically. And then once it becomes dry, it'll shrivel up into this form. And then basically, if you just give it water, it'll just unfurl and become alive again. They call it the resurrection plant because it looks dead, but it actually isn't, and so it's like it resurrects from the dead. Some plant supplies, Osmocote, good stuff. Here's more of the Sansevierias we saw at the other shop. Cute little things. More Sansevierias down here. Ooh, these are cool. Look at this. Little spike. And behind us, we've got some windowsill plants. Last time I was here, they had some Haworthias. Here we go. Here's some little Haworthias inside. You can see how happy and green these Haworthias are. Not all Haworthias are green. Some are like a brown or an orange color. No, it's fine. You're not in my way at all. And they've got all kinds of cool stuff stretching all the way down here. So they got a huge amount of really neat indoor plants. And the indoor section is honestly pretty nice as well if you need your plant supplies. I bought some perlite last time I was here because I needed some perlite that didn't have any nutrients added to it, which is right down here. So it's just, you know, a straight bag of perlite with no additional nutrients. I needed that for my carnivorous plants that I bought. And so I bought that last time I was here, along with Venus flytrap and a... forgot the word, Sarracenia, the North American pitcher plant. But I really hope that you all have enjoyed this video of touring the Wicked Plant Shop and gardens and visiting Pal's sudden service and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So if any of that sounds cool, you might want to think about subscribing and joining me on the road again for more adventures. If you're new to the channel, you might want to check out some of the other really awesome videos I've done of other cool small towns and neat little things here in Eastern Tennessee and other regions as well. So if any of that sounds cool and you want to subscribe, thank you very much, and I will see you on the road in the next video. Goodbye.